Today, special guest for you. This gentleman is out of Central Florida. He owned a large franchise. He actually decided to put a little money up. We're not going to talk about how much exactly unless he wants to tell you that. But anyway, needless to say, he made the move over. He has literally, his business has just skyrocketed, and he's just doing a fantastic job. We're going to talk to George Crawford next. Okay, welcome back. It's Shannon Pyatt here with Elite Experts in eXp Realty. Today we have got my special guest and good friend, George Crawford. George, how are you, sir?
Pyatt, I am rolling. Remember that line from Tombstone, Wyatt, I am rolling?
There you go, exactly.
A little rhyme for you, man. Been doing great. Thanks for asking.
Good, good, good. Hey, so everybody's curious. Tell us about what happened here. You and I connected. We connected on an online portal, and we got to talking back and forth. We hopped on a phone call. You were interested in learning more about growing your team, and I shared the opportunity with you. And lo and behold, here you are, right?
Yes, exactly. That's what happened. I had been a subscriber to KV Core, and I had joined Ideal Estate. And I was trying to attract some agents, recruit some agents to my brokerage, and I thought I would look into Ideal Estate. And as fate would have it, I met Shannon there on Ideal Estate. We followed up with a meeting to look at his boot camp for recruiting, and that evolved into, hey, would you like to see how the eXp model works? And that was actually the first time I would sit still and listen to the eXp model. I wasn't the first time I had heard of eXp. So that's how I got here. Shannon and I connected. That was a key thing. We had a really good rapport. I felt really good with, conversing with him and comfortable in our experience. So I think that's key to what we're talking about today.
Exactly. It's all about relationships, right? We just had that connection, and it just worked out really well. Now, tell folks a little bit about your previous company. You obviously had a friend. You were part of a franchise. You had your own brokerage.
Yes.
I understand it cost you some money.
Yes.
Just kind of fill us in on those things.
So yes, sir. Yeah, I owned a franchise. I'll leave unnamed, but I had signed an agreement 3 years ago. And the idea was to leverage myself, recruit agents, so I could step out of production and make money off my business rather than beating the bushes for deals all the time. So consequently, what happened was my commissions, I'm selling 25 or 30 houses a year, plus trying to build a brokerage. I was using my commissions to help run my brokerage. My brokerage was costing me more, even with 4 or 5 agents. It wasn't the break-even point to start making a profit. And I just felt like I was bootstrapping, it shouldn't be this hard. And I was sold on a model, hey, George, once you get this up and running, you're going to be doing great. So I had a 10-year plan. I signed a 10-year agreement. And I was 3 years into it when I met Shannon. And when he showed me the model and he asked me what I thought, I said, I like this, but I need to talk to my wife. So being a man of prayer, I prayed about it. I consulted some really wise people in my esteem and said, hey, what do you think? And ultimately I showed it to my wife on a Saturday night and I said, what do you think? She said, this is a no-brainer. And that just confirmed what I already knew. And I had a really good feeling, not just feeling, we don't go on feelings, but everything was just working out. And I said, this is what I need to do. Shannon mentioned I spent some money to get out of the brokerage I had, and I saw it as a business expense. I told somebody one time, I said, it kind of took one on the chin and came out swinging because it was very expensive. It was about what the average realtor makes in a year that it cost me to get out of that franchise agreement earlier. But I count it all, for naught because, I have a vision I'm putting together for eXp and what I intend to do, working on my business plan, finishing it off for next year, and looking forward to experiencing what I saw. And that is, this is a much better platform to run my business on than the former brokerage franchise that I had. So, yeah.
Exactly. Well, let's talk a little bit about that. So as a brokerage, as a firm, I mean, you got to take a lot of stuff off your plate when you joined eXp, right?
Yeah, I told a friend of mine earlier this afternoon, the first month, my expenses, $2,000 isn't a lot of money to a big brokerage, but I wasn't that big of a brokerage. $2,000 the first month, I looked at my bottom line, expenses went away, and I'm still working, trimming some fat off the hog as onboarding continues. But yeah, I had a lot of responsibilities, a lot of expenses. As I mentioned, I was spending my commissions to keep the doors open, and that's just not a good business model. And from what I've seen and what I'm certain of at eXp, that's not the case. So again, it's a better platform to run my business on.
Right, exactly. And so another thing that I loved about it, and I think you loved as well, is that you were talking about not having as many responsibilities. I mean, let's look at this from a standpoint. You no longer have to provide leads for your agents. You no longer have to provide a CRM or a website for your agents, right? You no longer have to, if they mess up and do something stupid, you no longer have to go to the real estate commission and fight for them, because you have a district managing broker that will actually go on your behalf. So you don't even have to do that now. But yet you still get the beauty of running a team, and it's not just local, right? So let's talk about that for just a second. You're in the Orlando, Florida market. Well, yes. With your old franchise model, you could only bring on agents that were local to you, right? So if you didn't have the best talent, you weren't making a whole lot of money. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that. And that's one of the part of the light that came on the day you and I saw the model explained. I said, wow, I'm limited to, I had a 20 agent transaction at a year agent. An agent was selling 20 deals a year. She left me because she lives 35 miles away. If she was at eXp, that wouldn't matter. In fact, today I brought in the card from a Pennsylvania agent I'm working with. And today I had a conversation with a South Carolina agent. They can be part of my team with this model. That's the beauty of it. So it's global rather than Metro Orlando. Awesome.
Exactly. And that's what I loved about it. I mean, because, I was in the Charlotte area, and I wanted to come back home where my family was. And so I knew if I moved here and had to open up a franchise type model, it was going to be detrimental to me, because most agents in this area don't sell a lot of production, right? Like they did in Charlotte. So I would really be in a bad situation. But with this model, like you said, I mean, it's global, right? We've got people, I've got people in 19 different states, spread out in 19 different states. That's pretty incredible, to have, one license and be able to do that. And you don't even have to be a broker to do that. That's what's so awesome about it.
You said something key with this model. I was having a hard time selling my former brokerage model. You've got to have something attractive to agents, some value proposition, we call it. And I was competing with other brokerages with what I was offering them. And that's part of the light that came on when Shannon shared the model with me was, I can sell this. This is much easier to sell than what I've been trying to do, because it's just so much easier on the agent. If you want to grow your business, this is the place to be. No matter what your forte is, some of us want to grow agents by agent, some of us want to sell a lot of real estate, some of us want to have a combination of both. eXp offers diverse, and plus the stock's the gravy on top. So it's just a beautiful thing.
Yeah, certainly is. Any questions for George from the panel? You guys speak up.
Hey, George. As far as, talking to other brokerages, one of the things that I had concerned when I had my own company before I added eXp Realty's platform was I was 100%. And Shannon, when he showed me that plan, he's like, but you're really not 100% because of your overhead. So I heard you say that at the beginning, you're cutting $2,000, plus a month, out of what you had to pay to be with, the other company to try to give you that ability. So what would you say to other brokerages that feel like, and not even ones that are with franchises, but I know a lot of people that have just little independent companies, like I did, to where they don't have franchise fees, they don't have all the restrictions, but they think that what they have is that eXp can't beat it. What would you say to them, at this point?
So I'm going to use my conversation from earlier today as an illustration. Sure, the broker that has the independent brokerage, he or she is at 100%. They own the brokerage. but they're paying the E&O, they're paying the rent, they're paying for the copier lease, they're paying for et cetera, they're paying for the coffee machine, they're paying for the bagels for the sales meeting, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of overhead. You don't have that at eXp. The conversation I had earlier with the person is actually my mentor when I got into real estate, and she's at 100% company, but she said, I just gave her a little bit told her enough to get her interested, because she and her husband are coming into my office to see the model explained. And it was the same thing. I said, you can make more than 100% here. And so owning your own brokerage, you've got money going out of pocket. The most you're going to make is 100%. Here, you can cap and get it all back once you're an icon, and then still making money, diverse and multiple streams of income. So the what is it that Kinder says, Jay Kinder says, once you see it, you can't unsee it. The more you dwell on it, the more exciting it becomes. I'm still excited to be here. So after months of being here, it's awesome.
Well, I think the other question would be growing pains, you know, because eXp has really had a lot of growing pains with adding over 120 agents per day without doing anything different in the next year. You know, we're going to hit 140,000 agents. So with the growing pains that we experience with the company, one thing that I think has been fantastic is the amount of people that they've hired to handle those growing pains and also the onboarding. So in your experience, what was it like for you coming on and transitioning your team over? And did they also go above and beyond to look at your plan to your business to help guide you, whether your agents are on a $4,000 cap, you know, the $8,000 or the $16,000?
So the managing broker for my state, Florida, actually got on a meeting with me and welcomed me and explained things to me. So since that meeting, I've taken advantage of all the help available. I think there are around 700 employees available on call for us. And anytime I go to a department, I've never had more than a 60-second, I'm 1 minute wait that I get waited on, and my questions are always answered completely and satisfactory. So everything you need here to give onboarding is available. Now, no denying there is a process. I know in Florida, I had to downgrade my license from qualifying broker to broker associate before I could officially come on to eXp. That took a little while, and then I actually got started on the onboarding process. And it is a process, but it's a step-by-step. It's like eating a meal. You eat one bite at a time, but the help is there that you need. And yeah, it's a smooth and seamless process because everyone is just so courteous and helpful, and they know what they're talking about. They're not just a smiling face pushing paper. Fantastic.
Thank you.
I have a quick question. So I'm dealing with a couple of brokers, the independent, and what would you say? Because here's what they're not getting over, and I really don't know, and maybe you can shed light, or anybody on here, on they can't get over their own ego, right? So, and I mean that in a good way. They want to be the broker, like, and I have a hard time explaining, you know, if we could make you an extra $100,000 a year or whatever, I'm just throwing out numbers. How big is your ego? Yes. And so, you know, you being, I mean, I'm not saying you have a big ego, but you know, you became a broker, and a lot of brokers that go out, buy a franchise and do what you have accomplished do have somewhat of a big ego. So what would you say to some of these brokers out there that are like, well, I lose everything, I'm not going to be the person on the sign or this or that?
So I would say you can still be the person on the sign, and you can still be the big cheese, because if you have a brokerage, you have a physical location, you want to keep your location and all your equipment and your setup, you can keep your office. You can apply to have a branch office for eXp and be the managing broker at that office. That's what I did because I needed to do that. It's not necessary, but for a broker, it's probably a good transition. And you're really still in charge, but you're getting a lot of the headaches, a lot of the aggravating stuff off your plate. Why wouldn't you do it? And if it's a matter of ego, we all have a little bit of that, but Some people need to eat some humble pie sometimes. And I think my humble pie was the 3 years I spent gutting it out, trying to make something happen that was going way slower than it needed to, because I had a deadline and, you know, I had a goal and I wasn't tracking my goal. So it depends on what they want to do with their career. If they want to advance their career, I would say this is the place to be. However, they know what they need to do. I wish I had something more profound to say than that, but that's a question I hadn't pondered before. I never considered, you know. And another thing, guys, independent brokers, you know, I spent over $40,000 to get here. I had to buy out a franchise. So, you know, that's how much it meant to me.
So with that being said, you spent a lot of money, and you see, what do you see yourself and your team now, or your former brokerage? What's your vision for, you know, 5 years from now? What does that look like personally for you compared to what it looked like before you came to eXp?
Well, ultimately, 5 years from now, you know, I envision and I intend to have a passive income so that I don't need to come to the office every day. Isn't that the ultimate business model? That's the investment model. You're considered an investor when you have a business that can run itself without you being there. And quite honestly, I've been here since July, and I've met a number of those people. When I went to Dallas earlier this year in August, I met several of them face to face. They spend their time in Puerto Rico. They don't need to be in day to day in the office grinding it out like somebody such as myself. So I have a vision to put myself in a position where I don't have to work so hard. And isn't that something that anyone would enjoy? So.
Awesome.
I think with that ego, like you were talking about, Matt, a lot of times that ego, it keeps them such a limited mindset, because again, they're only used to being able to grow where they're at. But if they realize they can grow, like Chuck Fazio, you know, he's like, I have 900 agents. I can't duplicate myself in any other city or state, because then I have to go through the process of joining those MLSs and all the stuff. eXp's already joined every MLS. They're already in every city and state, and they're also in 13 countries, maybe 18 now. But you know, the bottom line is the hard work's been done. So for them, they can grow their ego bigger, really, if they want to, because they can grow it into other cities and states. So instead of saying, get over your ego, hey, you know what, you got to be proud of what you got, man. But what if you could duplicate this in other cities and states and get your brand out there in everywhere, you know, is where you can be. So to me, I would go after, like, don't, you know, get rid of your ego. That's cool. But what about getting it bigger? Right.
That's, you know, play a little reverse psychology there, because that's an excellent point. You can leverage yourself globally. That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, that's what I think when I hear Chuck Fazio talk about that. And I think it's such a good point, because if you look at what his numbers have increased from going from, you know, reviewing thousands of agents' contracts, because literally he had thousands to manage with 900 agents. But, you know, did he want to spread himself that thin? No. Now with being able to put people in every city and state, he's got managing brokers in every city and state because of eXp. So he doesn't have that headache. He basically went from, I think, what was it, 8,000 agents or something between he and his wife in every city and state, from 900 to like 8,000 agents. Amazing. That's incredible. So now he's able to duplicate what he taught, what his mission is, to all those people, but he doesn't have to manage all those people, which, if you think about it, Matt, you posted on Facebook a couple months ago, you had 600 closings under your group, right? I mean, who can do that? And did you have to manage and worry about each and every one of them? No.
Only the ones that I closed personally.
Right.
That's it.
Right. That's what we're talking about, is that leverage, and that leveraged income is incredible. And George, we're so happy that you saw that Shannon was able to get that in front of you, and that you really saw it and you couldn't get it out of your head, you know. Yes. And that's really what the message is to brokers out there, to other agents out there. You don't know what you don't know. So if you haven't seen the eXp Realty 2021 business plan and have actually had somebody go through it based on your business, you don't know what you don't know. And once you do see this, let George show you, let any one of these agents on here that are, you know, here every week with Elite Experts, and we're teaching you about eXp, reach out to us and say, hey, show me how eXp will work with my business. And then if it doesn't work for you, God bless you. You know, we hope you build an amazing business, but we feel that this is a system that literally has been reinvented to fix a broken system. And it's better for the agents. It's created by agents. And really, you got to do yourself a favor and take a look at it. So you guys, George, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. We appreciate you so much. We're so happy to have you with eXp. We can't wait to see what else you and your team do with eXp. And with that being said, make sure you guys subscribe to our Elite Experts YouTube channel. Also go to our Facebook Elite Experts page. Make sure that you're plugged in with us. And we look forward to seeing you all on the next show.
Thank you. Thanks, George.
Thank you very much.